Okay, the recording is live, and I'm going to start off by showing you one of my favorite features that is part of this release. This is something that we built off of pretty frequent customer feedback that we are getting, and I've actually been hoping that we could add something like this for quite some time, and kind of happy to see it finally underway. When you use your simple or advanced job costing style, you get to put in a list of materials, our bill of materials. And historically, you've had to re-enter that information if you want to then later on purchase those materials. So what we've done with this update is actually let you carry that information back to your plan and track section from the contract. And so I'll show you guys a little bit how this works by creating an advanced job here. Go ahead and set myself the site address. So basically what we do now, if you're going to create your contract, not in professional mode by building your budget and plan and track, but you're going to do it all in your proposal by adding line items. I can come here and say, like, okay, we're doing site prep. And if the site prep is going to include a breakdown of materials using this feature set, I can mark something as material. I can reference my database. We're going to be using lumber, and it's going to be 200 studs of lumber. And I can say, we're going to need labor. And we're going to need laborers for, let's call it 40 hours. Let's bump it up. We'll say 2 guys, 40 hours, so call it 80 hours. Cost me $25 each, and we'll give it a 50% markup. This is kind of a quick, neat way to build a proposal, and you can even choose whether or not you want to show this information to the customer. But I'm going to show you how we're going to be able to use this information later on when we're tracking the actual cost of this job. And I'll set up another one here. I'll call this one drywall, and I'll build my cost here by saying, I'm going to need drywall. We'll call it, 100 sheets. And you can see that when I add these materials now, this is another thing that we updated just for the sake of convenience. It actually is automatically putting in the cost and the markup for us. So I don't have to, re-enter this or adjust the markup or anything. It's taking right from the catalog item where I have in my catalog that drywall cost me $10 each per sheet. And I actually put a 10% markup when I put in a 50% markup when I put in my price in the catalog. So this is just speeding up that process for us. I'll come here, say foreman hours, and I'll say 40 of them at 35 each. And again, I always like my 50% markup. And that's just building the proposal. And again, you can choose whether or not you want to show this information to the customer. I'm going to skip all of the e-signature and everything that you guys should be familiar with already. And if not, obviously, you can check out our other videos that we have on YouTube. But once this is live, and I go back to my plan and track, you're going to see this pop-up that says, would you like to use the contract breakdown as budgets for this job? And if I click where it says click here to proceed, you're going to see that it builds, since we're in advance, it builds this list of different phases based off of the line items for my contract, here's site prep, and actually has that list of materials here. So I don't have to re-enter them when I'm putting together my budget. It's automatically thrown in here. And that includes all our laborer hours and all of our hourly costs and all this info. So it kind of just gives us a little bit more automation out of all of this, so I don't have to double enter this info. You'll also notice that we have this autosave reminder here and there. Have a good look at these values. Click here to save if you like this. That's just so it's a little bit more convenient than having to scroll to the bottom every time. That'll float around with you. And that's actually a way for me to kind of show you another thing that we added here with this update. First, I'm going to switch this to active just to confirm all of this info. And you see it's all good to order, and I can show you a little bit more about that in a second. But another thing we set up, since we had a couple situations where people would navigate away from plan and track while they were building their project plan. We want to make sure that they could save their data. If I add another phase here and I'm making adjustments, if I try to navigate elsewhere in my account, I'll actually get a little warning that says, hey, there are unsaved changes. Are you okay with not saving these, or do you want to stay on this page and save it? It's just a way to give you, a little bit of a warning so you don't hit a button by accident and lose all the hard work you've been doing in Knowify. Another thing that we added, and this is kind of a small improvement, but again, a very frequently requested one, is this ability to add contacts to a job. This is just a way for you to edit the client when inside the job, so you don't have to, go through all the way into your client database and update it here. It's just a little bit of a convenience feature, so you can do everything on one screen. it was widely requested. We're happy to finally have the ability to add all this information now. The next, didn't mean to download that, but the next thing I'll show you is some changes we made to our invoicing. And actually, I want to change my invoice layout for this so I can show you all of our different options here. But anyone who does progress invoicing will notice this right away when creating an invoice now, that this little pop-up window is going to be a little bit different. It still prompts you for a percentage of completion, but you have what we call different invoicing methods, where there's the classic percentage of completion per line, or I could do the dollar figure per line, also always an option. But I also now have the ability to just put in a percentage of the contract in general. It used to be a little bit harder to get around to this. There was the display more options. Now you can just set this. And so if you invoice on draws that says a 50% deposit upon signing, then 20% at this phase of the job, and 30% at the end. This way I could say we want to invoice X percent of the contract in general, and we can also do that one in dollar figures as well. It really just based off of how you prefer to see this and how you want to send it to the client. That's just a little bit around how our invoicing screen works, just to show you a little bit about how it's going to be different moving forward. We find that this is just a little bit easier for people who were using our additional options in the past, and now they don't have to kind of search through them. They just choose their preferred invoicing method. One of the next things I want to cover here is around our mobile app. We had a lot of cases where people were reporting that their employees were struggling to log into the app, and we would check our logs and find that every now and then they never actually had set up the app or downloaded it or anything like that. So just so you can get a little more information on kind of what the status is with your employees in the field, your mobile users, and where they stand with the app, we have a mobile onboarding for them to fill out while once you add them as a user. So I have my employee Juan here, who I actually set up to be in Knowify, and I'm going to show you what it's going to look like for him when he's going to be logging in for the first time. So when he logs in, it's going to ask him a series of questions just to make sure that this is all working. It'll ask if he wants to allow access for push notifications. I'll go ahead and allow that. And then it'll also ask if Knowify can use his location. We want to be able to confirm that as well, just so that way if they decline location services and it's showing up as location unavailable when he checks in, you'll actually have more information in the onboarding as to why that happened. And you can onboard in English or Spanish. I'll go with English for this sake. And so immediately it lets you know, confirm that location services are enabled, continue. It asks if he wants to change his password here, so if he needs to reset it, he has that option. And then we actually have him test a check-in and check-out. That way we can confirm that there's nothing wrong with the phone and it can check in successfully into a job, it can check out. It's just a way for us to get a little bit of confirmation. And I'll check out. My phone's broken. It hasn't had any availability as far as maps goes, but this is where you would be able to see his location and confirm that it's correct. And then I can see that the mobile onboarding is complete. And whoever's in the office in this user's page will actually be able to confirm, because as soon as that's marked as complete, it'll actually show you not just that it's complete, but you can also see kind of part way through the process how far along they are on this. So I can see this is complete, and then if I were to restart it here, I'll change another user here for the sake of example. I can see, have they logged in yet? Have they enabled GPS location? Have they tested their check-in and check-out yet? And have they said that the GPS location that they checked in on was complete or was correct? So that's just a little bit more automation around all this. Plus, you see that you also have the ability to send a notification to their email if they don't have the app downloaded yet, to remind them to download the app and log in on it to go through this process. So it's all just about making it easier for any of your people in the field to get started with the app if they weren't set up on it previously. That's really the basics as far as improvements goes, but for those of you who took the time out of your day to join in on this webinar today, I just wanted to show a little sneak preview of this new dashboard that we've been working on in Knowify. This is just an improvement on the dashboard that we already had, and you guys just get to see this before we actually do an official launch on this. We are running we are giving early access to a couple of our clients. So if you have questions or if you want it enabled in your account, feel free to reach out. We can set that up for you. But it's all about just giving some real-time data so you can get more out of all of the information that's already in your Knowify account. So I could see stuff around, how many contracts we've entered, what was the value of those contracts. I could see it over different time periods. Show me my monthly flow of how we've been doing. It looks like, I was signing more back then, but it's starting to pick up again. We can also see information around outstanding invoices, how many are overdue, how much has been paid in the past month. I get information on pending change orders just right on the dashboard. A lot of this is just so I don't have to dive into each job to get this information. I can see it all updating here. Oops, sorry, I'm clicking my phone while I'm going through this. But we also show you information on cost versus budget on your different projects. And then if you set up all of your phases, we'll show you, when you've marked each of them as complete. And then a neat one, if you have your crews using the smartphone app, is this team activity page here. Basically, the team activity is just a way for you to see how much time has each person submitted so far today. So I'm actually going to check in as Juan here. Let's see, what was the last job I set up in my system, just for the sake of reference. I'll do 1325, 1325. And so as people are checked in on different jobs, you'll actually see the bar starting to fill out to show how far along they are on their check-in each day. So you get a little bit more information here. Plus this loudspeaker, you may recognize this icon from your job board. You can actually send notifications to people right through your dashboard. It's all about the idea of being able to come to the dashboard and manage everything that's happening in your company. You'll also notice that this is showing me an icon next to each user. This is basically saying if they haven't set up the mobile app, we give them an email. But since Juan has here, I can actually say, subject, check this out. I can send notifications to your phone now. Get to work. And this will just send a push notification to whoever is set up with the smartphone app, and it'll send you an email as well. So if you're not set up with the smartphone app, you can still get a notification that way. And let's see if I'll get this. If I'm already logged into the app, I actually might need to have it closed. I think I might need to close out the app, but just to give you a little bit more information, basically that's how we'll be able to send push notifications right to the guys in the field so they know what they're working on. This is very similar to what you would have seen in the job board in the past, which is going to be inside each gear on the job board here. So I can send out notifications. That's kind of the basics of what I wanted to cover for this release. There are, again, a couple other things here and there. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We're happy to give you more info on it. And for those of you who joined the webinar, if you want early access to our dashboard, just let us know and we can set up for your company. I'll be posting the YouTube recording shortly. So if you want to see what we have, again, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to set it up. Thanks and have a nice rest of your day, everyone.